our speaker will tell you more about it. Our speaker works on the regenerative economy transition with indigenous people, farmers, and fisher folks through ecosystem restoration, food security, agroforestry, through MAD travel and low carbon construction, acoustic through AVD green builds. He is a 4 times TEDx speaker on sustainability. His team has planted over 129,000 trees, collected over 13 tons of plastic waste, and helping recycle this into products. And won awards for work on biochar, reforestation, and waste reduction. His work has reduced waste in their events by 11,000 pieces and growing. He helps companies and schools implement ESG sustainability programs to decrease cost and increase impact, and provides innovative products and consulting to help reduce the effects of climate change and build the local economy. He has won awards such as WWF Force of Nature Award, the then Outstanding Youth Awards, Good Design Awards, Japan, Sustainable Tourism Award by DOE, and Circular Economy Award for APEC. He is a young business leader with the Asia New Zealand Foundation and the US Embassy. He dreams of planting 10 million hectares of forest in his lifetime and building the green economy in the Philippines, where the tourism and construction industry heals nature and builds weeds rather than destroys it. He studied in Ateneo University of International Business Economics, Beijing, and MIT Boston. Please welcome Sir Raf Dionisio.
Sige, salamat. Oo. Sige, thank you. Oo. Okay. Guys, sorry Nagka-injury kasi ako recently, so mabilis ako magka-cramps. Kaya ako may saklay pa. Let me just set up my slides for you. Ayun. Sorry about that. May kino-coordinate lang ako kasi grabe yung ulan, so alam mo naman, daming delay dahil sa ulan. Okay. All right. Can you hear me clearly at the back? Baka better with the mic na lang para madali. Ayun. So, ayun, morning everyone. So my name's Raf. Just to clarify, I'm not an architect, I'm not an engineer, but I'm normally known as a sustainability expert in the Philippines. No? So that covers usually ecosystem restoration, building products, recycling, and and tourism. No? And so the hat I'm wearing today is focused on how do we decarbonize construction, no? In that sense. And maybe, just maybe, we can create more builds that are helpful to our environment and economy. No? So, siguro, I'll reference back, no? Yung construction industry natin, and perhaps all the industries in the Philippines, are very extractive. Meaning, kuha ka, no? Tapos hayaan mo nang magbalik. What we want is to be more regenerative. At yun yung inaaral ngayon ng mga bata, yung tinatawag na sustainable development goals, no? So, this is probably a scene that maybe some of you have experienced, no? 40% of our land sa Pilipinas is indigenous land, no? At dito, may matandang dumagat. Sabi niya, "Sir, gusto namin ng development." So, kausap niya malaking kumpanya na gustong mag-build sa kanila. Pero sir, ang development sa amin, sana alagaan yung lupa tsaka tubig. No? My grandfather was an engineer who helped build Angat Dam. And so, he understands, he told me when I was young about the challenges of building such huge infrastructure, no? Environmental-wise, people-wise, no? Eventually, he became head of MWSS. At syempre, na mahirap yung, you're holding a lot of things together, no? As government and as a large infrastructure developer, no? And so, the ideas today that we will present to you, as telling John earlier, a lot of them will be applicable to smaller projects first. And then a few of them may be applicable to larger projects in the future, because the sustainable or sustainable construction industry in the Philippines is very young. No? 10 years ago, I remember I was researching with architects. Halos wala tayong makita. 10 years later, maraming fake sustainability. Would you think that's accurate? Maraming nagsasabi na, oh, sustainable kami, pero pag tingnan mo, totoo ba? No? And I had the chance to give some talks to different UAP chapters recently. UAP Makati, Cebu, Palawan, and medyo consensus ng mga arkitekto, even interior designers, na ang daming, nainis sila, ang daming fake sustainability. No? And today, I'm happy that we'll be able to share stories about stuff that is growing locally. Siyempre, may foreign pen, pero there's a lot of local stuff. No? So, first off, these are the pillars that we focus on. No? So, community, environment, green economy, and personal well-being. No? And siguro the context that we're walking into as a country and as a planet, as a human race, is there's a lot of delayed changes in weather, diba? So, sugar farmers don't have proper harvest. So, imagine nyo if the DMCI said, September, October, November, December, wala na kayong sweldo. Well, that's what's happening to farmers. It's been happening for a long time. No? Over here, it says 1.5 degrees Celsius. This means above pre-industrial levels. No? And at that temperature, you lose 70 to 90% of coral reefs. So let me explain lang, kasi kung 1.5 degrees lang, halimbawa yung tubig 24, maging 25.5, ba't mamamatay yung isda? Diba? Parang malamig pa naman yung 25.5. So here's the situation. On a good day, plus 1.5 degrees lang talaga yung tubig na yan. No? Pero on a bad day, you get plus 12, plus 13. Kasi the variability, the extremes get wider and wider. And that's where suddenly you'll have situations where maraming nakalutang na patay na isda in certain areas. Or corals will bleach, right? And then, you also have a situation where the heat index is rather high. This one is in Casiguran, Aurora. No? Yesterday, I was at Pasay City National Science High School. And the principal there told me that at 42 degrees Celsius, automatic wala nang pasok. 42. Kasiguran hit 60 in 2023, August. Pero dahil maliit siyang bayan, syempre hindi naman yung mapapansin ng media. But can you imagine on your construction sites? No? Some of the construction sites I personally have been to, lalo na sa Visayas, yung mga workers ayaw na magtrabaho from 10 to 2 kapag nasa labas. Break na lang daw, balik na lang sila ng alas 2, 2:30, tas mag-extend na lang till 6. 10 years ago, di namin yung ginagawa. Kaya na lang ituloy-tuloy yan hanggang noon time. No? And I'm sure you guys have the same experience. No? And for us, last year, we had this record-breaking CNN story where there were 4 storms. No? 4 na bagyo, dire-diretso. Ngayon, yung susunod na slides, actually, may kwento to. Ginawa ko to para sa tatay ko. Yung tatay ko po, nung bata siya, valedictorian siya. Tapos, nagpursige siya maging doktor. So, nag-biology siya sa UP, and then nag-UP Med, and then ngayon sa PGH, head siya ng department. No? So, si Papa, sa generation niya, top 5% yan in science in the Philippines. Sigurado ako. Kasi kung naka-UP ka, tapos valedictorian ka, baka nga 2% eh. No? So, tinanong ko siya, Pa, naintindihan mo ba to? Naintindihan mo ba yung connection ng bagyo, ng carbon, ng pag-init ng mundo, tsaka climate change? Ang sagot niya, I understand each concept individually, pero hindi ko mapaliwanag yung connection ng bawat isa. Tapos doon nagka-aha moment na ako, parang patay. Kung si Daddy, hindi niya maintindihan, si Mayor hindi, si Governor hindi, yung mga public school teacher, malamang hindi. Is that reasonable? Diba? because he doesn't understand it, no? And he's from arguably the best university in the country, no? So I tried to explain it to him. I said, Dad, ganito yan. The sun, the sun's sunlight hits the planet. That sunlight makes things green for us kasi that's the photosynthesis, diba? Yung energy na hindi kailangan ng mundo, i-reflect back niya. That's its ability, no? The more ice we have, bright surfaces, the more we reflect. Now, kapag meron kang carbon and carbon equivalents in the sky, so carbon dioxide or methane, just some examples, they act as mirrors in the sky. So salamin. So imbis na lalabas siya, ma-reflect back. Red, no? Now, 80% of our planet's surface is water. Ano mangyayari kapag nag-expose ka ng init sa tubig? Mag-evaporate siya, di ba? So more water evaporates. When that evaporates, there's a big change in temperature. Wind gets stronger, waves change, and then the sky becomes loaded with vapor, with moisture, di ba? And syempre, pag mabigat yung ulap, babagsak din yan as storms. So the prediction is that it will happen again. And this 2025, sorry, wala yung slide, nagka-3 tayo in July, di ba? Alala nyo yun? No? And then 2 weeks ago, I was talking with some of the guys here, or was that 3 weeks ago, yung ulan sa Quezon City, hindi siya bagyo, ulan lang, but 140% of Ondoy's rain. So, sharing na yung kotse namin, buti nakapark na on a slope, yung engine yung nasa taas. So, ang nabasa lang, yung 1/3 or 1/4 ng kotse. So, buhay pa yung kotse, pero kailangan palinisin yung tangke. No? And syempre, the back. Right? But that's us. Yung mga neighbors namin sa QC na mas baba, wala. Lubog lahat ng kotse yan. Sigurado. No? Mga bagong biling bahay, lubog. No? And what's happening is that this change in temperature is changing. Heat waves will move to 60. Instead of 1.1 months, it becomes 1.5 months. Fresh water will decrease from 9% down, less 17%. And then rainfall intensity will continue to increase also. No? So, it's left people very scared. Alala ko ng bata ako, pag grade school, pag malakas ulan, masaya ako, walang pasok. Pero ngayon, pag yung mga pamangkin ko, pag umulan, takot sila kasi baka bahain sila. Kasi wala namang pinipili yung baha, di ba? No? Compounded with the bad flood control that is plaguing our country, talagang mababaha ka, no? Now, the question is, where does this come from? Right? And this is a presentation of Stanford University in the US. So I'll walk you through, and I will give you the slides also. First is transportation. It is worth 6 gigatons of waste. Ay, salamat, sir. Salamat. Yung transportation is how you move. Are you using diesel? That's the dirtiest of the bunker fuel. Sorry. Diesel, that's less dirty. Unleaded, that's less dirty. Premium, that's less dirty. And then ano may mga Euro 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The higher the Euro, the less the carbon. Generally. No? Or are you using hybrid? Or are you full electric? Yun yung trajectory niya. No? The next one is... Next one is decarbonize the grid. So, energy systems natin. Yung Pilipinas, mahilig tayo sa coal power plant and mahilig tayo sa oil, bunker fuel power plant. So, if you go on vacation or you're doing a project na on a small island na wala siyang sariling grid, diba may generator, rinig mo habang papa-under kayo ng mga kuryente nyo. You're emitting a lot of carbon into the atmosphere. So, that's the dirtiest part, no? The energy is 21 gigatons. That is the biggest chunk of our carbon waste, no? Next is food. 7 siya, just as much as a little more than transport, because tayo, we eat 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, no? So, may baka dito kasi beef among meat has the highest methane release, no? Methane is 27x of carbon dioxide, no? So, ganito na lang para madaling ma-visualize. Can you imagine driving 22 kilometers on a Vios or Honda Civic? Imagine mo yung gas na nagamit doon. So that's probably 2.5 liters, mga ganon. No? 1 quarter pounder with cheese is equal to 22 kilometers on the road. 1 quarter pounder with cheese. Pag pinalitan mo yon to a chicken burger na quarter pound din, magiging 5 kilometers na lang yung worth of gasoline exhaust. At pag pinilitan mo yan to mushroom burger or mongo burger, magiging 0.5 or 1 kilometer na lang worth of exhaust. Yun yung scale ng exhaust ng food natin. Kaya kami, pag nagpapakain kami, tinanggal ko na yung beef. No? Anyway, Pilipinas tayo, mas magaling tayo sa pork. Diba? Pork is just about as much as chicken, mga 5 to 6 kilometers. So better that than beef, diba? So sana pag uwi nyo, iba na yung kainin nyo. Wag na muna mag-burger, chicken burger na lang. No? Next, this is important din. Protecting nature. Sigurado may tree planting kayo, no? Or mangrove planting or whatever, no? It is also 7 gigatons, just as much as your transport and just as much as your food. Right? So, the insight here is that yung climate change ay hindi lang nasa kamay ng malaking tao, nasa kamay nating lahat. Kasi ito, sa atin to, ito, tayo din to. Ito, to an extent, do we leave our phone open at night? Do we leave the aircon open? Do we leave the computer open? Yung tree planting, you'll probably do it once, maybe twice in your lifetime. Swerte na kung 10 beses, no? But it's not every day that someone plants. No? Next, ito na tayo. Cleaning up industry. This is our industry construction. It is worth 8 gigatons. It is the third biggest, no? Basically, 1 kilo of steel is 0.9 kilos of carbon. 1 kilo of concrete is 0.9 kilos of carbon. And 3 kilos of plastic, that industrial grade plastic, such as yung mga upuan nyo, is 3 kilos carbon. So when you select furniture, refurbish, every new thing has a carbon cost that is contributing to this, which makes the storm stronger, makes the world hotter, etc. Flood, drought, no? Now, itong huli, yung remove carbon, ito yung carbon ng namatay na. Lahat ng ninuno natin, patay na sila, yan yung contribution nila. 10 for the dead, 49 for the living, total is 59. The consensus globally of the UN, United Nations, is that 59 must go to 0 if we want climate change to stop getting worse. And it must go to negative if we want the climate to reverse back to something better, where category 5 does not exist. Na maging category 4 na lang, tapos category 3. Diba? Iba na yung categories ngayon eh. Dati alala ko nga, signal number 3 lang eh. Bigla na, ba't may 4 at 5 ngayon? Pauso mga to. No? Pero yun, that's the context, no? And our sector in general, no? If you look at it, kasi ano eh, when you're building the building, 8 lang siya. But when you're running the building's energy, eto na siya. Does that make sense? Kaya siya malaki, no? Kaya some will say it's as much as 37%. So how we design it is important, very much so, no? So, ayun, no? So when we look at low carbon, it's how you design, but it's also the materials you use, no? And your influence is very, very large, even if it's hard to influence business owners. Don't worry, we're trying to do that through schools. We're talking to all the Archi schools, but we're also talking to a lot of the international schools. Yung mga anak ng mga politiko, ng mga bilyonaryo, ISM, British School, they're also being taught this, to count it, no? And next month, I have a talk with the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants on carbon counting and plastic credits counting, because they will be the ones to guide or steward all the companies that are producing this waste. No? So it's a big ecosystem that we need to change, no? So, where do we start, no?
Well, let's talk about
Ayun.
climate change.
Ito muna. Si Bill Gates, no? Maganda yung video niya about it, no? About climate change.
Well, let's talk about climate change. Now, people think, hey, are we getting the solar panels and windmills to be a lot less expensive? And isn't that helping reduce greenhouse gases? And the answer is absolutely. But there's a lot more to do than just taking electricity to zero emissions. There's a variety of things that generate greenhouse gases. We have a lot of sectors of the economy, like manufacturing, that are emitting greenhouse gases that aren't talked about as much. Everything we make, even a cute little squishy like this, that's emitting 21% of the greenhouse gases. The number of buildings in the world is going to double by 2060. It's like we're going to build a new New York City every month for the next 40 years. It's a gigantic amount of materials. Steel, cement, wood, all emitting greenhouse gases. We're going to have to figure out how to make all these things in a different way. And so we're going to need a lot of change, a lot of innovation to bring the emissions from all those areas down to zero.
Yeah, no. So even Bill Gates turned philanthropist na siya, dami ng pera, but he's trying to solve it, no? He sees it as an issue for his kids and for his grandkids, right? So again, we're gonna double the cities by 2060 pala, sorry. Mali yung 2026. But that's the context, no? So, for me, my relationship with the industry and with the environment starts with these two landscapes, no? One is the ocean and one is the mountain, right? So, we have a surf hostel in La Union, right? And this is where I fell in love with the ocean, right? But as time progressed, things got dirtier, no? And this is the guy who taught me how to surf. Napakadumi. Mayroon na ba ditong nag-surf dati? Taas kamay? Anyone? Wala pa? No? Kung nag-surf kayo, laging nakabukas bunganga nyo. No? Walang nakasarang bunganga sa surfing. Kaya maiinom mo yan lahat. Kaya galit na galit siya. No? And ito nga, no? Because of the way cities are built, parang this is we own 5 of the top 10 most polluted rivers in the world, no? Oof, kadire, no? Now, every river, bawat ilog, aabot yan sa dagat. Pag umabot sa dagat, ang isda, di naman niya alam kung anong nakikita niya. So ito, isda ng, tiyan ng yellowfin tuna. No? Meron na ba ditong kumain ng yellowfin tuna? Sino? Taas kamay. Kumain ng yellowfin tuna. Sigurado kayo, marami dito dapat. Imposibleng hindi. No? Pinay tayo. Diba? So, yung mga basura pumapasok sa kanila, no? And the challenge is that yung coral, pag may plastic na nandyan sa coral reef, the plastic attracts a lot of bacteria. Hindi naman dyan nasisira, diba? So, what happens is, this coral becomes 89% more likely to get sick. 89. Para yung vaccine, no? And per hectare, ang coral reef, 1,000 kilos of seafood per year. Per hectare, minimum yon per hectare of coral. So, anong mangyari pag magkasakit yung coral? Bagsak yung production, bagsak din yung kakainin natin, tataas yung presyo ng bilihin, no? And so, we're experiencing this. Apart from the warming also destroys the corals, no? Now, hindi talaga naintindihan ng tao. Pag hindi niya naintindihan, hindi niya alagaan. At hindi naman to tinuturo lahat sa school, no? And so we did a data collection based on data from the Smithsonian Museum. Ano ba yung pagkain na makukuha nyo from Manila Bay, right? This is the infographic of the food production capacity of the biggest bodies of water close to us now, no? Siyempre, mangingisda ka ba sa Manila Bay? Hindi, di ba? But look, minimum 2.9 million kilos a year. And then, Laguna Bay, 900,000. Pasig River, 17,000. Ang daming pagkain dyan. Ang dami mong mapapakain. Ang 250 grams of fish, ang dami na nun. 1/4 kilo. 2 tao makaka-share nun kaagad, diba? So, ang dami yung pagkain. And minimum pa yan. However, our bodies of water are not producing at that level kasi madumi siya. At yun nga, kakainin nyo ba? Diba? I was doing a cleanup in Manila Bay 2 weeks ago with some students. And while I was picking up trash, may mangingisda dun sa lao. Sa labas. So sabi ko, hala, mangingisda. So nung balik niya, labas siya ng grill, lulutuin na niya. Sabi ko, kuya, ba't mo kinakain? Di ba madumi yan? Ang sagot niya, sir, malayo naman sa tabing dagat. Medyo dun siya, mga 300 meters away from shore. Sir, malinis na doon. Tapos ako, hindi ako maniniwala. No? Pero yun, nakasanayan na nila. No? But that's the reality that we're facing. And to be honest, even here, tong area na to, Cavite side, still Manila Bay, no? Marami ditong, clam farms, tahong farms. No? Kaya mura tahong dito eh. But that's Manila Bay water also. No? So, yun yung mga kailangan pag-isipan. No? Now, Bohol will earn this much. 2 billion pesos from seafood. Cebu's also about 2 billion from seafood if they take care of the reefs, no? Pero ito nga yung nangyayari, no, in our ecosystem, right? So, anong brands tong dalawa? I'm sure you know. Huwag na kayo maya. Diba? Nature Spring at ano yung pula? Yawn, Coke, diba? So, the behaviors need to start changing, no? Marami kasi tayong behaviors na kailangan palitan and medyo mahirap siya, no? The first behavior is this. This is Makati Coffee Bean. Dine in, dine in, dine in, dine in. Pero lahat sila may takeout cup. No? Lahat tayo guilty nito, no? So, yun yung unang behavior na dapat palitan natin. Na sana, maging kultura sa maraming kumpanya na reusable bottles tayo. No? Maganda nga na may dispenser kayo dyan kasi ibang kumpanya wala talaga. No? Pero, that's so important. No? And then, next. Yung ginawa namin magpinsan, gumawa kami ng campaign to try to get people to segregate. Tapos kailangan yung awareness, tapos sana magsimula tayo mag-recycle. So this was our feature on BBC. No? So, sabi namin, since we're part of the problem, syempre, tourism, ang dami mong basura, di ba? Pag nag-overnight kayo somewhere, ilan ang sachet at bote na magagamit na madami. So we said, we have to try to be part of it. So, we built our first wall with trash, no? This is full of Coke, Gatorade, Powerade, you know these brands. And it's 1.5 tons worth of trash, no? So, it's non-load bearing. Diyan kami nagsimula, right? Imperfect solution siya. Highly criticized kasi one, structural stability. Although it's 8 years old now, it's still there. Two, parang tinime chamber mo lang yung basura. Hindi naman, pag nasira yung pader na yan, and eventually, maybe 20, 30 years, it'll get destroyed. What happens then? No? Anyway, we had to start somewhere, right? And again, keeping in mind na 1:3 talaga yung ratio ng plastic is to carbon. Kasi plastic is an oil product, diba? Daming processing yan, no? And for waste in general, when you look at it, all of this produces carbon. Plastic is this one, no? Right? So, what we started doing was to come up with programs, educational programs that would help people recycle, but to also help people reduce. Kasi kailangan talagang magbawas, no? It is estimated that only 9% of global waste is recycled. So kahit anong sabihin mong i-recycle natin yan, it's not gonna happen. Kasi pag ganun yung growth ng plastic waste, pag ganun ang growth ng recycling industry, mababa siya, matumal, no? In that sense, no? So there are different products today that you can use. One of them that might be interesting to use, plastic lumber, right? Which is often used for fences now. It has the same process as making this chair. It's produced in Antipolo area, no? And then, ayun, it's recycled, no? At least hindi siya nangangalawang, right? The supply chain though is still small kasi mahirap yung retrieval ng plastic sa Pilipinas, no? And then, this one, you might be familiar na, it's one of the more popular ones. So, EcoBricks, being able to build with sachets mixed into a cement block, only 7% content, no? Is plastic kasi yung structural stability niya mawawala, no? But it's a lot stronger. There are pavers and there are blocks. It's used in BGC, Max Fried Chicken, McDonald's uses it for their walls and their parking lot. Cebu Techno Park in UP Diliman, no? Yan, we're trying to break it. Yan, tibay, no? So, another one product that's very good. And this product, mga 500 tons na yung na-use nila. Pero kahit 500 tons, napakaliit pa rin, no? Nung nagamit. There are also other products that might be useful to you. This is for interiors though, plastic boards. There's a company called River Recycle. They take plastic from Pasig River, disinfect, and then compress into boards. Pang interior siya kasi medyo soft siya ng konti, no? And then ito yung plastic lumber, right? Also, something very useful. Playgrounds, in particular, are useful for it, no? But even if we do recycling, and I'm promoting that people use the products, kung iisipin mo talaga, kung galing Pasig River yung basurang ginamit dyan, ikaw ba, kampante ka na playground yan ng anak mo? Hindi, di ba? And that's why, parang, we have to balance the recycling with also reduction. Kasi kulang na mag-recycle lang tayo. No? So you'd have to spend a lot on disinfection to make it parang safe for you guys, no? This lady, something you can also check out online, Wasto, Waste Solutions. Ito, dami niya mga products, no? Na pwedeng gamitin. A lot of them featuring different recycled plastic products as well. No? Tapos, yung batas natin, no? So, just to give you idea where it's going, 20 years ago, nagkakarally na kasi about plastic waste, but it was more in the UK and the US. Ang ginawa ng mga oil companies, which are the supplier of the plastic companies, ay ang media spin nila ay, gobyerno, kaya naman yung nag-ano ng basura natin, di ba? Nasa inyo yung MRF, you have the waste management system. It's your problem. You must do better, no? That was 20, 30 years ago. Today, though, with the volume of plastic that we have, you saw the river earlier, 77 governments, including our own, have agreed that plastic is the problem of the producer. So that's why there's the Extended Producer's Responsibility Act. Ngayon, ang batas, pag nagbenta ka ng, let's say yung Nature Spring sa likod, pag nagbenta ka ng 10, ikaw kumpanya, you're responsible, mamulot ka ng 5. In 2026, mamulot ka ng 6. By 2028, mamumulot sila ng 8. Right? It'll max out at 80%. I'm not sure why. No? Pero yun yung batas. And they have offenses, no? Now, I'm close friends with some of the people advising the Office of the President on this and the DNR. And ang sabi lang niya, most of our recycling still goes to incineration, i.e. co-processing ng mga cement plants, no? And kulang tayo ng, while there's growth in the recycling, there's also not enough growth in the prevention kasi hindi nila makita yung path na magagamit natin lahat ng basura if we continue using at this pace, no? Na convenient lahat, no? So, yun. That's the story of the ocean, but also the story of recycled plastic products, right? And I'm hoping that it gives you context of where it's come from, where it is today, and where it's going to transform. Expect more recycled products of plastic coming your way, no? Kasi naghahanap, there's money out there to recycle, but as to how much, we have yet to know kasi the law is still in its early implementation stages, no? What's good though is there are nice products that you can use, mostly for outdoors. For indoors, you may have to be a little careful kasi especially the cement blocks with sachets inside. Those sachets kasi could degrade into microplastics, eh. So I wouldn't recommend it as, let's say, a bedroom. But, pang outdoors, pwede na, no? In that sense, no? Now, the other side of our story connects with the mountain, no? And in 1900, there was a big meeting in Paris. It's called the Treaty of Paris. In fact, it's in our history books. And this is where the US bought the Philippines for $20 million from Spain. Nalala niyo yun? Nasa history books natin yun, di ba? And after that, what progressed was the extraction of resources from the Philippines. No? There is a quote from the US senator, no? Kasi syempre, back then, kung bibili ka ng bansa, ipapaliwanag mo sa presidente and to Congress and to Senate, why are you buying it? Parang, di ba, may hearing ngayon, big decisions, di ba? So may Senate hearing din sila. And the senator from the US who was the lead proponent for it was a man named Albert Beveridge. You can Google this if you like, no? And he says, quote, "Mr. President, the times call for candor. There is no farm in California that can match the fertility of soil in Luzon. The Philippines has lumber to last us generations. The mountains in Cebu are full of coal, and there is gold in the creeks, in rivers of the Philippines. No? So very extractive yung nature niya. Kaya nawala yan lahat. No? We became the lumber supplier of many countries. And now it's a fight to restore it because without that forest, you lose the cooling effect. Did you know that 1905, Manila daytime temperature, morning temperature was 21 degrees Celsius, 22. It was that cold. Kasi ang dami pang puno nun. No? Today, what is morning temperature? 27, 28? Iba. No? And ito nga, this is the simplest graphic you can come up with. No? And every architect, every engineer, every owner ideally thinks this way, that we need to make sure that we're balanced. No? Alam kong medyo hassle, you have to prune the tree and everything, maybe storms, but there are storm-proof trees available that can be used also. No? We're experiencing extreme heat. You guys know this, no? And I just showed this article because we're supposedly technologically advanced as a society, pero wala pa tayong solution sa El Nino, right? And we continue to suffer. The new thing that popped up on our Philippine radar last year was wildfire. It's been on the radar of many countries already, no? Ito, picture ko to. Picture namin to, ng dalawa. Pilipinas na to. Ito abroad tong dalawa. No? Right? And has anyone had wildfire in their sight before here? Anyone? Wala pa? No. Sige. And of course, the storms are a lot bigger. We know this already. Lagi namang binabaha sa Pilipinas, no? Now, the trees that we're trying to push can hold as much as 2,000 liters of water in their entire system, divided in that way, plus or minus 5%, no? And without the trees also, rivers start to reduce in their water productivity. Itong dalawang ilog, mga 1,500 and 2,000 liters per minute flow. 50 years later, it's 500 liters per minute. No? So, this next video will help show the relationship. No? So here, you have two boxes. Planter box, just soil. Planter box with plants. Didiligan pareho. Same amount of water, same time. Can you identify what are the differences in water flow at the bottom? Ano ba nangyayari? Filtration. Dito walang filter. Sinama niya yung filter dito. Mabagal, malinis, at galing sa ilalim. Dito galing sa taas. No? And then, kahit wala nang nagdidilig sa taas, tuloy-tuloy yung flow niya. This is the river and waterfall system that we benefit from. No? However, Sierra Madre looks more like this today. So do most of the mountains in our country. Right? A strong reminder, no? And I saw recently in Mount Makiling area, they're developing some of the mountainside. Nagiging ganito, so nagiging ganyan din sa baba. Whereas kung yung nasa taas mo, may puno pa, safe ka. Less likely for flood, no? In that sense, no? And its effect is widespread because if we don't have waters in our rivers and regular rain, our farmers are in a hard have a hard time, no? Our irrigation authority has very little money compared to the size of our country. Tapos, farmers today, ang farmers mahilig pumila sa murang gas station eh. Nasabayan na namin yan minsan papuntang Tarlac na Ecija. Sarap ko, may isang farmer, 3 yung canister niya ng 100 liters. Tapos tanong ko, Kuya, saan mo yung binibili? Ba't ka bibili ng sobrang daming gasolina? Diba, rice farmer ka? Sabi niya, sir, kasi 3 yung makina ko. Ginagamit namin yung gasolina, pump ng tubig mula sa ilalim ng lupa para mapatubig to. Ang cost to us, 9 pesos per kilo. Versus other countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, India, their irrigation is free kasi it's designed properly. So their rice is understandably cheaper. No? I just came from Tawi-Tawi 1 month ago. All the rice is from Malaysia because it's cheaper. It's 10, 20 pesos cheaper because they have more forest, they have better irrigation, they have better rain systems also. No? So ito, Walang tubig kasi walang puno. May tubig dahil may puno. No? So that brings us to one of the communities which also produces an interesting product. This is in San Felipe, Zambales. You can see their mountains because it's burned. No? And the goal here is to plant 4,000 hectares. Right? So yung isang company namin, which is Make a Difference Travel, we set up a tour here to fund the reforestation. So mag-tour ka, yung pera ng tour, yun yung pantanim. No? So ito yung nangyari sa tour. Lakad, kalabaw pag ayaw mo maglakad kasi 10 kilometers round trip. Archery, pagdating mo doon, tapos may immersion, right? And then may kain, no? Para naman kumita si community, no? Tapos sayaw, tanim. So ito na, magtatanim na. Ngayon, yung chieftain ng tribo, nung una naming beses pumunta, magbabayad na kami, 3K, chief, salamat. Sa area nila, in 2016, 3,000, 1.5 months mo yung tatabahuin. Kasi 200 a day ang sahod doon. No? Napakahirap kumita ng pera doon. No? So, ang sabi ni chieftain, sir, huwag mo na akong bayaran. Kasi baka magastos ko yan sa load, sa 3-in-1 na kape, o sa sigarilyo. Hindi naman tapakinabangan niya ng community namin. So ako, like, surprised naman ako. Parang, ayaw mo pabayad. Ang hirap-hirap mag-organize ng ganito, hindi ka tatanggap ng pera. You worked on it naman, hindi ka nagnakaw, talagang tinabrahon niyo to, no? Para sa inyo to. So sabi niya, sir, kung seryoso ka, tignan mo yung lupa namin, napakalaki, pero walang laman. So kung babalik ka, dalhan mo kami ng mga buto at binhi. Kasi yon itatanim namin. At kahit nakawin, yung magnanakaw magtatanim. At makikinabang ang kabataan sa lugar namin. So si Chieftain, grade 5 dropout, cannot read, cannot write, cannot speak English, walang kuryente. Tinuturuan niya kami about sustainability, about regeneration. No? And very motivated kami. So we started planting, no? And we followed his advice. And we used the tour money to plant, no? So dito kami nagsimula, 2017. First time we planted, 2021, 2023, no? So palaki siya ng palaki, no? Tapos yun, lahat ng tanim galing bisita, no? Donations, no? Very nice, no? Now, kulang na kalikasan lang. So may mga elder na humihirit, kalikasan na naman. Tapos kami, bakit? Ano problema niyo sa kalikasan? Ang sagot nila, sir, laging may pera para sa kalikasan. Wala naman para sa amin. So ako inisip ko yun kasi alam ko wala nang puno sa Pilipinas. But if I really think about it, and I did my research there are 3 kinds of tree planting projects. There's ito yung puno, tanim mo, picture, alis na tayo. Mamamatay yung puno na yun, sigurado. And then meron yung patakaran ni DNR, yung tanim ng puno, babayaran kita ng 2-3 years, alagaan mo, and then alis na kami. Pag alis nila, puputulin din yung puno na yun. Kasi wala namang livelihood yung tao dun eh. In fact, I went into, are you familiar with the National Mining Conference of the Philippines in Baguio? Every November. No? Yung tito ko is an archaeologist. So sabi ko, tito, ano ba ang kwento ng environment and mining industry? Kasi ang alam ko lang yung nasa balita. Wala akong tiwala sa balita. Ikaw na magkwento sa akin. Ano ba yung nangyayari? So he took me to the mining conference in Camp John Hay in 2023 and pinakausap niya sa akin lahat ng malalaking mina sa Pilipinas. All of them. Lahat sila, sabi ko, sir, ano ba ang environmental program? Yabang sila, ay, kami 50,000 trees, kami 1 million trees, kami 3 million trees. So follow-up question, sir, may before and after picture ba kayo ng puno? Ay, wala eh. Pinutol ng mga local doon after namin umalis. Why? It's simple. If your town is a mining town for 30, 50 years, pag sara ng mina, marunong ka bang kumita sa ibang pamamaraan? Hindi, di ba? Is the mine a credible teacher for farming? No. For coffee? No. So kahit anong tapon ng pera ng mina dyan, kulang yung system for transition from a mining economy, take resources to a regenerative one. And the best example we have so far is Baguio City, which is at the tail end of its mining life and is now a big tourism town. But tourism also comes with its challenges na sinisira din niya yung kalikasan, di ba? So, and how they build things, may sustainable, merong hindi. No? But these are the insights that we've gathered on the field, right? And so, back to the story, si Elder, sabi namin, sige, we'll help you. Let's do something where you make money off taking care of the environment. And dito kami nagsimula, no? So, yung pera na ayaw tanggapin ni Chieftain, punta kami Baguio, kwento namin sa Good Shepherd Sisters, yung mga madring may ubi jam, binigyan kami ng seeds, no? Tapos ayan, tinanim. After 6 months, tinuruan namin sila, ubi chips tayo, gayahin natin yung Amerika, pero dapat matamis ng konti yung chips, no? And we started picking up seeds, right? Tapos kanina nakita niyo yung mga visitors na nagtatanim. Within a few months, trees started to grow very quickly, no? And then we started to measure things, no? The first measure was temperature. 13 degrees Celsius cooler at lunchtime in the mini forest versus outside, no? Ang puno may flowers. Ang flowers attract bees. So, honey became the next product of the community. Parami ng parami, right? And then, in some areas na may magandang farmland and forest at the back, we said, diretso na kayo sa vegetables and fruit trees. Let's do permaculture. Let's do agroforestry. No? And so, ito, we started planting. Ngayon, may papaya, hundreds of calamansi trees as well. Para pitas na lang, hindi putol. No? And then, bamboo. No? We had a lot of bamboo planted. In 5 years, most of it is useful enough for crafts. No? And within this year, many of them will be available for construction-grade bamboo also. No? So 2017, kasoy din, no? Cashew, we import a lot of cashew from different parts of the world. So namulot ng mga seeds, pinatanim, and then nakahanap din ng mga processors thanks to DTI, no? So, yan, no? So the community's grown it in that way, no? And it's encouraging that they're able to produce food for themselves. And it's also encouraging na by 2024, last year, ganyan na yung itsura ng area. No? Again, sa taas, walang tubig. Sa baba, may tubig. No? And for sure, ito gusto ng tao kasi nag-viral yung, nung nag-post kami, nag-viral siya. No? 23,000 shares. No? Yung nga lang, sabi ko sa inyo, wildfire was the issue. So, ang daming natanim, biglang 22K in just 12 months, sunog. No? And ang hirap niyan, no? This is what we face. No? And what most of the country will face also, no? August, si Kuya gustong bumili ng bigas para sa mga anak niya, tatawid ng ilog, 8 feet. Yan, nanonood yung community just to make sure safe siya. Yan yung bigas. 6 months later, same river, wala nang tubig. Sa likod, nasusunog na. Oh shit. What happened? Wala. Yan. I-rewind ko lang ng konti. Yan. So this is an issue. It's a safety issue for many places that are very dry, for many islands. And anything on the west coast of the Philippines is extra susceptible to it kasi mas mahaba dry season ng west coast, no? So we did our research. Ang tanong, ano ba yung cause? And ito nga, cogon grass yung cause in Zambales. In Baguio, where wildfire is also prevalent, it's pine cones and pine needles naman. Kasi they don't biodegrade quickly. No? So, ang tanong, can we bring water up the mountain kung saan walang tubig? That is 5 kilometers through Lahar away? Of course not. Wala kaming pera to haul water there. No? Wala ngang road eh. So, the solution became an element called biochar, no? Which is an old world technology. It was first found in the Amazon rainforest. Basically, biochar is when you heat biomass, dried biomass, you put it through a pyrolysis chamber. No? Pyrolysis simply means you cook it in higher temperature, as high as 1,000 degrees Celsius and as low as 500 degrees Celsius. Tapos, yung oxygen level niya mas konti. Pag nag-uling kayo or nagsiga kayo sa labas ng bahay, mga 200, 300 degrees lang yon. It's too low. No? So, lahat ng smoke, lahat ng carbon mawawala. So, grass plus kaldero, hindi na pwede magluto dyan ng, magsaing dyan ng kanin. Biochar yung labas. No? That's a backyard version. And this one is a bigger version, community trained. No? So we started teaching them how to make biochar, right? And the nice thing about biochar is that it's highly absorbent in water. No? So it holds up to 5 times its weight in water. So watch what happens to these two. Sa kaliwa, tumutulo na, walang biochar. Sa kanan, dahil may biochar siya, hindi siya tumutulo. No? 1 kilo of biochar can hold up to 5 liters of water. 1:5. So imagine nyo, if some of your projects na binabaha, may biochar sa bandang taas yung soil, absorption rate goes up. Soil, I asked farmers this when it's raining, soil with grass, the absorptive capacity is 7 mm per hour. Right? 7 mm per hour. Standard soil with grass. The rain on Doy was 100 mm in an hour, something like that. No? Just to give you context. No? So you can increase it with something like this. No? And also, because it holds water, it also holds nutrients. Mas malalaki ang halaman dito. No? In that area. And this is the interesting one. No? So when this is a forest regular wildfire. You see all that black smoke? That's carbon heating the atmosphere. That's the carbon we want to avoid. Meanwhile, here, ito yung team namin. Nagluluto kami ng biochar. Look at the air. It's a lot cleaner because all of it is trapped inside down there. It's trapped a lot of the black. No? It's a cleaner burn. And so it sequesters more carbon than standard degradation, yung natural degradation, and more carbon than nagsunog ka lang. No? So it is considered a nature-based solution or a carbon-negative process by MIT, Stanford, Australia Institute of Concrete. No? And it has the ability to be mixed into concrete as well. Right? And that's where it becomes very interesting for us because communities can be trained to do this without electricity. So imagine all your projects that are far, far, far away. Pwede man siya na siyang haluin, no? In that sense, no? So there is research on it where they use concrete. And I was sharing with John earlier, there's one contractor in the Philippines that has used similar material to biochar in their project. They built some roads in Cavite. It is Freycinet. Kaya na nila. Nakahalo na yung slag into their mix. No? For a low-carbon concrete recipe. No? So imagine if instead of 0.9 kilos of carbon per kilo of cement concrete, maging 0.54. Malaki yun. Mananalo kayo ng award dun for sure for green construction. Automatic yan. No? Ma-verify lang nila yan. This is the research of Freycinet. So I'll discuss it with you para makita nyo. Sana kayo maka-implement din ito. No? So as you can see, Portland cement ang gamit nila. This is the actual composition, physical composition. When they ask what is the carbon composition of their cement, ito siya. Portland cement is the highest, 85%. So, the revised composition was divide by 2 yung cement, and then they use the slag, biochar, alternative. Tignan mo, bumaba yung carbon. Now, the curing time is longer. I think 24 hours longer or 36 hours longer. So, they just had to make adjustments for that. No? But this is a win because if you use biochar, imagine how much wildfire you'll prevent. Imagine how much livelihood you'll give to locals. And imagine how much you'll save on cemento. It's a big win. And then the carbon pa, no? Which is plaguing all of us, right? So that is the big opportunity. No? There are housing projects that we've piloted this in. So using biochar technology, they're able to mix it into paint, right? Into palitada. No? A while ago, John and I were talking, pag may project na kulob, di ba maglalagay kayo ng uling sa kwarto para ma-absorb? Biochar, when you mix that with paint, and call it carbon coat, will absorb moisture. So if your room is facing the afternoon sun, it will reduce the moisture in your room so that you can cool it faster. That's one benefit. No? Wall plaster, it's possible, di ba? And it's quite simple in terms of mix. Parang naghahalo ka lang ng concrete, diba? So carbon coat is one of those products that you can use, no? And for us, while we produce this, we also want people to start having biochar hubs in their area para assemble nyo na doon. Kasi if you ship that, ang layo din, no? So this is not just a profit play. It's a please use the technology play also. Kasi kailangan yun ng bansa natin, no? Now, biochar also has another interesting benefit. It can block heat because it's a coat of carbon. So instead of, let's say, the roof being hit directly by sunlight of, let's say, a 55-degree heat index day, the carbon coats it. The biochar has a lot of air pockets. Ma-insulate niya. Mag-reflect siya. And then, anti-rust pa siya. Kasi rust, the corrosive sea air cannot touch the metal because it's covered by carbon. And the carbon lasts a very, very long time. No? So this is one. We're currently piloting a partnership in Kainta. We're going to paint wall and roof of a public school with the carbon coat para ma-check nila if it really works or not for them. But for us, we've used it seaside in Botolan. It really works. So there are many ways to make biochar. There are different kiln designs. Lutuan lang naman yan, no, of it. These are ways at which you can use, no. And by the way, biochar, the form that is most familiar to you or to Filipinos is actually carbonized rice hull, which is a form of biochar, but a low quality form. Diba yung ipa, imbis na sunugin, gawin nilang by carbon, tas fertilizer yan, diba? Now, biochar, the highest grade of biochar is what you call the activated charcoal. Yung pag nagkasakit ka or nalason ka, bibigyan ka ng charcoal, tapos it'll absorb toxin. My dad, who was head of the poison center at PGH, pag ang pasyente niya dumating at knockout siya, ang unang gagawin nila, painumin ng charcoal para lahat ng poison diretso sa kuha ng charcoal kagad. So it has that function also. So again, imagine all the applications, no, but none bigger than construction, right? So since nabanggit ko na yung schools, this is our last chapter, no, in schools. For yung bansa natin sobrang kawawa kasi very corrupt ang system, no? But we would like to find a way to make public schools better. Your room is so blessed kasi ang ganda ng acoustics ng kwarto nyo. I've never seen a room na hanggang sa baba yung acoustics, no? And when we go around, what we see is a lot of students, mainit na, maingay pa, no? And ito nga, the new pandemic is the heat index, no? It's institutionalized, no? Ganun kagrabe. Yung government natin mabilis mag-adjust sa problem, kaya automatic suspension at 43. Pero do we have a long-term solution? Wala. And so I'd like to really try to pilot that because most of our public schools do not have ceilings that insulate, don't have roofs that insulate against heat. Kawawa tayo pag mangyari yun, no? So, ito, no? The roof itself is the biggest chunk of heat gain, right? So, we've assembled for you different systems that you're familiar with already, and these are the heat blocking of each of the systems, no? That exist. Fiber cement, gypsum, acoustic gypsum, gypsum with insulation, acoustic ceiling insulation, no? So there are many solutions that you can use apart from applying carbon coat on the roof, no? But basically, ganyan siya, no? And again, I think this information is only known within the construction industry. Ang mga principals, sana they know this para they are empowered to do it also, no? Now, with what we're hoping is that a lot of schools start to pick up on two things. One is acoustic para magkarinigan yung bata. As normally in a public school, pag nasa likod nila kung asan si John, di mo na maintindihan yung teacher sa harap. Tapos sumisigaw pa si teacher. Tapos pangalawa, ang init, no? You'll never listen, no? And when you don't hear your teacher, then wala, babagsak ka talaga. That is the situation, no? So, just something that not a lot of people know, acoustics is usually the biggest challenge in a building. It's the last thing that people think about kasi it's the one thing that you never see. Maririnig mo na lang pagpasok mo sa kwarto, ay, di yata pwede mag-meeting dito, no? Naka-meeting na ba kayo sa Wildflower? Natubuhan mo na? Sobrang ingay doon. Di ka pwede mag-meeting doon. Date nga, mahirap. Di mo marinig yung kaharap mo, di ba? Si ma'am tumatawa. Nakarelate siya. Kamusta yung date ko? No? So, yun, yung mga di natin naisip, no? And it distracts people. If it distracts workers, it will distract students, no? And perhaps, very simply, there are many ways to reduce acoustics. It could be this ceiling could be this, no? Pwedeng thatch roof, yung mga grass, that will also help, no? And remember that the ceilings are 40% of the acoustic quality of the room. And it's the only part of the room that will never really be destroyed, no? Or broken. So that's what we're looking for. Additionally, in terms of design, because a lot of schools I find don't like this kind of standard design, you could always look at it from a thickness perspective. The thicker some of the materials are, the more acoustics, more sound and echo they can absorb. No? So it's a thickness thing lang. So for example, this is probably a 15 mm tile. No? Kung ayaw mo yung buong ceiling na ganito, one look lang, pwede kang kumuha ng 20 mm tile and you will probably only need to get the same sound result, you only need one half of the room. Pwede naman diba? In that sense, no? It's like 1-ply and 2-ply tissue paper. That's the analogy that we have, no? Right? 1-ply, some sound, 2-ply, a lot more sound, no? And you can save on labor also in that sense kasi less naman yung gagawin mo, no? And here's that study actually, no? If you're using it, this is a standard, it's probably this board, no? And then over here, these are the more absorbent boards. You only need 8% of the room to have it. So, just some idea pictures. And also, while not every product has that, it's also good to look at what is the recycled content of products and to question the producer, ano ba talaga? No? How is it recycled content? What is it made of really? Kasi maraming nagka-claim, konti lang yung nagbibigay talaga ng tamang impormasyon, no? And this is an open call lang. Maybe you guys want to collaborate with us. It's a clean and cool classrooms project, no? Pag meron kayong extra, could be gypsum, could be insulation, could be acoustic boards. Kami, our company, AVD Game, is also donating. We want to really help some of the classrooms reduce their heat, improve their sound. It's something that we badly need, no? Especially because we're at the point where the Philippines is already left behind. Diba? Yung mga grade 6 natin cannot functionally read and write. Grade 6. Ouch. No? So, ayun. That's something that we need. What's nice though is if you work with us on this, we can donate it through a foundation that is PCNC accredited, so you could get tax rebate then if you want. No? So, yun yung isang benefit nun. A while ago, I mentioned bamboo. This one is new for us. We're starting to sell bamboo, the poles, right? So this one is Indonesia, but this one is in Davao, right? And we'll have we have poles available already. The kawayan tinik, not the giant one. The giant one's usually available lang in mahirap pa yung supply chain nun but we're planting, right? So there are boot camps for training architects, interior designers, engineers on how to build and design with bamboo. And again, while it is not really the best for exterior, it won't compare to concrete. Interiors-wise, napakaganda niya, and it changes dramatically how you build things now. And if there are project sites where there are bamboo areas nearby, your cost can go down dramatically. No? You can also learn how to process it yourself in that way. No? Siguro the best example of bamboo processing in our country, one method is the saltwater dipping method. No? Alam niyo yung bamboo organ sa Las Piñas? It's what, 100, 200 years old? That was dipped in salt water for a year. That's it. No? And then you get 2 years worth. For construction grade, you just need it in salt water for 15 days. No? And you can make a lot of interesting things with it. So if there are projects also, consider there's a growing number of bamboo options within the country, whether you buy it or you're trained to do it. No? One of the interesting trainers is Bamboo Bootcamp. You can also work with them on that. No? Or let me know. I'm also trained, so happy to work with you on it. No? So yun, just going back to one of the original slides, those are the collection of stories that we have about the growing sustainability contexts that affect our construction industry in the Philippines. And they're connected to food, They're connected to community. They're connected to the ocean, which is our own hospitality industry, right? And I hope that this talk kind of gives you an idea na while you play an important role here, you also affect everything else, no? In one way or another. So, yun po. No? So, salamat. And baka you guys have questions. Questions? Yeah. Okay. Questions? Anyone? I have a question instead. Are most of your operations solar energy driven already? Not yet? Okay. Sige. Yun yung iniisip ko na eh. Yun yung low-hanging fruit of most operations today kasi ang laki ng savings ng solar eh. Oo. Yes, sir.
So regarding sa solar, sir, this main office namin, we're planning to have solar panel sa isang building namin.
Okay.
Pinaplan pa lang pero hindi ko siya implemented.
Okay. Pero yung mga projects na pinapagawa sa inyo, wala bang solar integration na hinihingi na? Like, di ba, if you're handling a port area or these are countryside areas, mahal ang kuryente doon, sigurado. Oh. There are slides on solar, but it's a common technology, so di nyo naman kailangan i-discuss yung solar, no? I think more sa carbon. Ito, another question, kasi we're looking for, so currently there are 3 communities already producing biochar. One is in Botolan, the other is in San Felipe, the other is in Subic Bay. No? We're looking for projects that may want to collaborate to experiment with the biochar kasi we know it takes a while to do it. No? So if you're interested, please let me know. We'd love to work with you on low carbon concrete as well. No? We presented it to NLEX, super interested nila. So yun din. No? Very promising in that sense. Hindi naman daw for the highway first, kahit yung parking lot, yung walkway, mga ganong easy na hindi naman mataas yung PSI, masyadong mataas yung PSI na kailangan, di ba? Every bit counts no? In that sense. So, do you guys have that? No? Yun. Tapos, in case you want to contact me, these are my 2 contacts, no? My 2 emails, raf@avdph and raf@madearth.org. Right? I will give a copy of the slides to John, and then bahala na siya mag-disseminate sa inyo. No? One technology that I wasn't able to add, wait while I'm here pa, kasi we're still studying it. But something that you might be interested in also is rammed earth. No? Ito pinagkakaguluhan to ng isang UAP chapter sa nung last isang talk ko dito.
Rammed Earth workshop, we're gonna make rammed earth using that stuff. You're doing that. There's our instructor.
So yung rammed earth is basically a cement wall, but instead of halos kalahati semento, they put mud, and the mud becomes the insulating factor, and a little more sand, no? Yeah, so it's also a popular technology. In Indonesia, used na siya in most resorts ngayon. Pero in the Philippines, konti pa lang yung kumukuha, no? So, yeah. Ito mga rammed earth projects na yan. Baka kilala niyo yung iba. Puro arkitekto din yung kasama ko dun eh. Ayan, no? Something for you guys to look at also to see if you can integrate it into your project. Super dali lang pala niya eh. Parang, it's at least 30% less cement. Sub with mud. And then yun, ipapack mo na lang. No? So, let's say you have to destroy the wall, it is soft enough that it can kind of be mixed back into the earth. Parang ganun siya. Yung concept niya. Tapos yung mud, ang lakas ng cooling factor niya. Parang 5 degrees Celsius yung insulative capacity niya based on touch pa lang yun. Ayan. Sige. So guys, if there are no more questions, well, break muna and then I will just hang out here if you wanna just approach or talk. Oh, so salamat guys. Yeah. Oo.
Ano ko na lang sa question kung meron sila.
Yeah.
Para tuloy-tuloy na sila.
Oo. Sige. Sure.
Okay, meron po ba tayong mga questions para makita namin kayo? Tagal natin kayo mga season.
Okay lang. Maintindihan nila. Di good.
Balik na lang kasi ulit. Wala. Pag wala na,
Ay, ito si ma'am.
ayun meron.
Ma'am, upo lang ako. Masakit yung leg ko eh.
Sir, good morning. Yes po. Dito sa mga nagiging innovations nyo, meron ba kayong ka-partners din po ng mga professionals like architects, engineers, na kasi if ever po meron kami mga project na gusto i-try yung product, minsan kasi may mga hinahanap sila ng mga technical
Yes.
reports or datas and then testing. So, may mga partners naman po kayo.
Yes, meron. Oo. I will, ang gagawin ko, I will probably refer you to the one who used the project. So, halimbawa, if you're looking at the biochar, best to talk to Freycinet directly. Or I can facilitate it at least. Kaibigan ko naman yung GM nila. Yun yung isa. Kasi we want that eh. Environmentalist din siya nakakatuwa. No? Tapos, if it's bamboo, there are several large bamboo sites now. There's one in Cavite, there's one in La Union na sobrang laki. Davao, of course, and Bukidnon. So, you can easily visit the sites as well, so you can see it for yourself if you like. And there is an architect that I will refer to you na speaker siya recently at the UAP NatCon. Si Jed, what's his last name? De Guzman. Yan, no? So he used to work in Bali. So very highly exposed siya sa building with bamboo kasi he stayed there for a while. No? So yun. Yeah. Oo.
Thank you, Ma'am Ruth. Sino pa po? May mga questions?
Ako may naisip ako. Ano yung mga hinahanap niyong technology or mga challenges niyo in terms of in this kind of context of sustainability and low carbon? If any, no? Meron ba kayo?
Sir, before na-experience kasi namin sa economical housing somewhere in Zamboanga, katulad na lang yung sa water recycling.
What yung water recycling nagawa nyo or nahirapan kayo or ano ba yung nangyari?
Nagpo-propose lang sana ng water recycling on kasi medyo mahirap yung tubig dun sa summer sa Zamboanga. So, yun yung mga sa mga innovation na hinahanap din nila.
Marunong na ba kayo gumawa ng water recycling system ngayon? O hindi pa? Hindi pa. Okay. So water recycling. That's a good point. I'm just asking kasi if there are yung mga nagiging kaibigan ko are usually innovators. So hingin ko, ano ba yung water ginagawa niya sa ibang bansa? Teach it here. Sana magawa. Kasi yung sa plastic pa, I didn't include it in the slides, but yung isang board member namin, before he passed away, he was part of a group of people that, alam niyo yung kinasuhan yung DNR ng malpractice sa Manila Bay. Nakita niyo ba yun sa balita? There was a group that sued DNR for failure to take care of, to do their job. Tapos ang nangyari doon sa dulo, nagkamandamos, the Supreme Court issued DNR, Clean Manila Bay. This is the time of Simatu. Doon siya nangyari. No? So, ang nangyari doon ay gumawa sila ng water treatment facility in Manila Bay, yung katabi ng yacht club. Kayo ba gumawa nun? But anyway, that was the end result of that. No? And yung bacteria count from millions per sample, naging tens of thousands per sample. Malaki pa rin yung tens of thousands, pero at least bumango daw yung tubig sa, hindi naman bumango, less baho yung area ng yacht club. But that water is huge. Good point talaga.
Any more questions?
Hello, sir. Good morning. Sir, we learned that plastics are also used for walls, right? So, are there any may mga tests done regarding fire rating? So, could it pass those certification?
Yes, meron yung fire rating test. Let me find it na lang and send it to you. No? Pero, I just don't know if it's this. Syempre, the certifying body will be not as high level as ano. So that is an issue. That's why I was saying, better nga na nasa outdoor siya. Kasi the amount, 7%, at least for the ones in bricks, is small enough na kahit masunog, it's too small to destroy the wall. The plastic lumber is a different issue, right? Of course, most playgrounds are built with plastic these days, so I don't see why it would be an issue also. No? It's harder naman din yung ganitong plastic, no? In that sense. Yeah. Fire rating for plastic.
Ano pa?
Yeah. Yung bamboo, kahit di na fire rating, alam mo naman yun. Oo.
Good morning, everyone. Pero it's not a question actually, just want to share yung nabalik ko rin sa inyo kanina, Sir Raf. Actually, yung regarding sa biochar, parang we're kind of first starting din yung regarding sa biochar, pero in a different form. Kasi I mentioned na recently, DMCI acquired yung sa Cemex. And part of it is, di ba Cemex is a production ng cemento, no? Product nila. And then, recent na update is, they're trying to mix yung fly ash into the